The immediate cause of the problems between our two countries, according to President Clinton, is the failure of Yugoslavia to agree to the terms of the negotiations in France, first at Rambujeu and then later at Paris. Why was it that Yugoslavia did not sign that agreement?
You used the word negotiated. There were no negotiations at all. And your audience have to know that. In all those 3 long weeks, 2 in Rambujeu and 1 in Paris, there was no one single meeting between delegations to talk to each other, Albanians and Serbs and others in state delegations couldn't exchange one single word. So there were not any negotiations. And look into delegations. On one side, you had a delegation of Serbia composed of everybody who was living in Kosovo and who lives in Kosovo, representatives of all national communities, Serbs, Albanians. 3 Albanian parties were represented in Serbian delegation. They are citizens of this country, of course, and that's so normal. Serbs, Albanians, Turks, Muslims, Gypsy, Egyptians, Goranci, all 7 of different national communities were represented in the delegation. On the other side, that was delegation of separation movement, not Albanian delegation. Albanians are in a delegation of Serbia as well. Delegation of separation movement, purely Albanian. And that's something which can explain the major differences in our approach. Our approach from the very beginning of talks was that Kosovo problem can be solved on the basis of principle of equality of all citizens living in the region and of equality of all national communities living in the region. So our approach is multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious, insisting upon equality of national communities, regardless to their number. On the other side, there is an approach of your State Department in alliance with those guys from separation movement, which is favorizing Albanians, which is giving to them the right to be the masters of the rest of the population. And you must know what the structure of population is. In Kosovo, there are Serbs and Montenegrins, 250,000 of them, who were living there, and their grandfathers and grandfathers of their grandfathers lived there before one single Albanian came from the mountain. That is ancient Serbian territory, with thousands of Serbian monasteries and monuments and so on. But leave it aside. So 250,000 of Serbs, 200,000 of Muslims, 150,000 of Gypsy and Egyptians, about 50,000 of Turks, even Turks who are smallest national community in Kosovo. They have their schools, they have their radio and TV program, they have their editing house tan, meaning day in Turkish language. So what was the problem if there are only 50,000, comparing with, let us say, 800,000 to 900,000 Albanians? In terms of quality, they must have the same rights as national community, and they must participate in the institutions of Kosovo in an equal footing on the basis of that. And that was a crucial difference between those 2 approaches. Practically what was tried to be imposed in Rambujeu was not autonomy at all. That was independence. And that separation movement was not using the arms before you came, before your representative came to tell them, to supply them, and to make the alliance with those killers, rapers, kidnappers, and drug dealers who were collected from the underground around Europe to be organized as so-called Kosovo Liberation Army, which never existed. That was a kind of Hollywood, you know, just to explain that they are having some kind of military forces and so on. They were never able even to attack any police or military unit. They were able only to kill somebody from the ambush. And they were clear terrorists. What else they could do? They were killing people from the ambush. They were putting bombs under cars or in front of markets. They are taking hostages, civilians, workers from the open mine near Pristina, for example. We never saw those hostages. We're afraid that all of them were killed. We don't know their destiny, where they were at the end. Talking on autonomy, we are talking on equality, on equal approach to interest of all national community, not on independence of Albanian separation movement, which had by that agreement, so-called agreement, practically the right to organize a new state within Serbia. They have their state, that is Albania.
Kosovo bi bilo prva žrtva. Njegov sadašnji status bi se proglasio za legalan i definitivan. To je prvi deo Srbije sa kojim bi se ona morala da oprosti, ne izražavajući pritom čak ni nadu da će joj taj deo njene zemlje jednom moći da bude vraćen. Što se Crne Gore tiče, njena sudbina bi bila prepuštena mafiji, čija bi pravila igre građani trebalo dobro da znaju. Svaka nedisciplina, a pogotovo svako protivljenje interesima mafije stavlja vas na listu za odstrel koja isključuje pravo na svako pomilovanje. Jedan od bitnijih zadataka marionetske vlasti u svakoj zemlji, pa i u našoj, ako bismo je imali, jeste gubljenje identiteta. Zemlje kojima se komanduje s polja relativno se brzo rastaju sa svojom istorijom, sa svojom prošlošću, sa svojom tradicijom, sa svojim nacionalnim simbolima, sa svojim navikama, često i sa sopstvenim književnim jezikom.
Ja ne mogu da razumem da neko može da se drzne da ovdje govori o Kosovu implicite kao o nečemu što nije deo Srbije. Kosovo je Srbija i Kosovo će ostati Srbija.
Građani mogu da mi veruju i ne moraju da mi veruju. Moja je želja da se u moja upozorenja ne uvere kasno.